Jenne of all trades, and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about my dad. I wanted to start like a little series on this channel, mostly for me, because talking about things is very therapeutic for me. I lost my dad a few years ago, and he was my best friend. We were so close. We basically considered each other like the same person. And I want to tell you guys stories about my dad because I feel like that's one of the best ways to let someone live on is to tell stories about them. Now, these videos are not going to be like super sad, I promise. But they are going to be me telling you really, really wonderful and fun and funny stories about my dad because A, I miss him and talking about him helps me feel like he's here. And B, he was just a really cool person and deserves to have stories told about him on the internet, okay? So my dad was super smart. Like, today's story is going to be very specific. And sometime, like, I'll go through the overview of, like, everything my dad did. But today's story is very specific. My dad was super smart, okay? He went to Columbia, which is an Ivy League school. He got in with a near perfect math SAT score. His English score, on the other hand, was like very low, maybe like 100, I don't know, like 300. His first language wasn't English. He was actually born in Hungary and they immigrated to the United States when he was in middle school. So he didn't do so well on the English portion, but he aced the math portion. And so he went to Columbia University for astrophysics. My dad majored in astrophysics, so literally my dad was a rocket scientist. Just saying. There's a lot to live up to sometimes, but one of the things that he got into later in life was teaching, and he's actually the reason I'm a teacher, and that's a whole other video we will have. But what he taught is what I want to talk about today. He taught math, he taught physics, but he also taught robotics. And I actually have a prototype of one of his robots here. So this is a little prototype of a robot that he eventually named Mojo. I keep it on my desk, you know, because I'm sentimental and stuff. But it has little wheels and he would like roll around and stuff. It's Mojo 1.0 or like mini Mojo. We'll call him mini Mojo. Actual Mojo is like this big. So my dad built robots for fun and also like he was the robotics instructor at his school. And his team was called the Ninjineers, which I thought was so fun. And basically he taught like engineering and so all the robots that they built had to do a certain thing that year. If you guys are watching and your school does this, your robotics club or maybe you're in it, I don't know. You have to build a robot as a team, and that robot has to have a certain function in order to compete at the robotics competition that year. And every year, it's the same function for every single group that wants to enter. One year, it was a robot that shoots baskets. Another year, it was a robot that stacks boxes. And all kinds of fun stuff. I always loved hearing about it. Today's story, we're going to talk about Mojo specifically. So during the summer, my dad would get kind of bored because teachers didn't really work in the summer and boredom plus my dad was not a good thing. He would start thinking, he'd start over analyzing, and he's like, no, I need to keep myself busy. I need to do something. So he started building a robot. This robot was small. I'd say he's about the size of my torso, I would say, but like if it was even. And he navigated by sonar, so he was able to navigate the house on his own. He was not remote controlled. He was able to drive himself around the house, notice that there was a wall, back up, and keep going. And that was so cool. And he also communicated via Morse code. You could give him commands via Morse code, and he would Morse code right back at you. I don't understand Morse code, but apparently my dad did. So he was able to have conversations, sort of, with this robot. Backtracking a little bit, he was home a lot and he had been going through cancer treatment. And I said, Dad, you really need a dog. Like, you really need to get a dog or a cat or something because you're home alone. Mom's at work. Andy's at work. Andy's my brother. And you really, really, really need to have some kind of companionship, because I can't always be on the phone with you. I'm working, blah, blah, blah. And he was always like, no, I had cats and they all died and I was sad and I don't want to be sad again. No. And I was like, I mean, okay, but you really need a dog. And so I kept trying to convince him to get a dog because, you know, companionship is really important when you're home by yourself. He never did. But he ended up building this robot. And so I was like, okay, I guess he has something to do. It's fine. It wasn't until later that I realized that he had built this small, able to walk or roll itself around the house, was able to communicate using a language that doesn't really make sentences, but makes understandable things between this person and the thing. He built himself a dog. My dad built himself a dog. He built himself a robot dog. I never knew what Mojo was until later, and I went, oh my gosh, he's a dog. He was a dog that couldn't die. My dad solved the problem of I want a companion, I want a pet, but I don't want to go through it dying again. By building a robot, he solved it using rocket science. That is one way to make your astrophysics degree from Columbia really work for you. I am so it's one of my favorite stories to tell about my dad, because not only does he have the ingenuity to build a robot that is able to autonomously operate itself and navigate its path, it can actually follow my dad and hang out with my dad if it wanted to, or if my dad told it to. It was a dog. It's just one of the coolest things ever. And I love being able to share that with you guys, because my dad was just so innovative like that. He was always the type of person that if there was an issue or if he wanted something, he would build it himself. He'd make it himself. That was just who he was. It was never a question of, oh, I'll just go buy that. It was, how can I make that? And I think that's the engineer talking. So from early age to last day on earth, my dad was an engineer. Yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys about Mojo. This is mini Mojo, prototype. I don't have actual Mojo. He's still at home. I'm actually trying to work with some student engineers to help me figure out how to make him work, because while I did inherit my dad's brains, I did not inherit his amount of time that he could spend learning how to do this. I spent most of my time learning how to make tappy tappy noises. So guess it wasn't quite useful for figuring out how to use Mojo. But if any of you guys have any insight into robotics, then maybe you comment below and maybe we can start a conversation and you can help me figure out how to reactivate my dad's dog. Yeah, look at the little mini Mojo. He's so cute. Only the daughter of a robotics scientist could say, oh look, a robot, or this piece of machinery with batteries in it. He's so cute. Oh my god, I literally just realized he has batteries. I've had this for 3 years and I literally just realized it has batteries. Holy crap. Okay. All right, well, thank you guys so much for coming here and listening to a story about my dad, because it means the world to me that I can share his experience and his life with you guys. He was a truly spectacular human, and if you like hearing about him, subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to this channel anyway, because it's got tons of stuff. It doesn't matter what you're into. I promise there's a video that will interest you. It's just so all over the place, kind of like me. But definitely subscribe so that you guys can keep hearing these stories. My dad was truly magnificent, and I want you guys to get to know him. He means everything to me. So thank you again for coming to this little dad chat with me, and thank you for subscribing. Hit that thumbs up button so I know you like hearing about my dad, and I will see you guys in a video real soon.